It was a clear, crisp spring day in Copenhagen. And if any of you are from up north, you know those days, right? When the air has that exhilarating smell of the sun about to break the spell of winter. The light was claiming back the days, and you could almost taste the promise of the flowers about to push through the winter soil and inspire new beginnings, new love, new growth. But I didn't feel a thing. I was standing in the empty dining area of my cafe in Copenhagen. The light fell through the big window across the floor and onto my feet as I looked down at them. As I stood there, I felt nothing, but my mind was racing, and this I was used to, living my life from my shoulders and up. I was wearing a large, elastic, charcoal gray tunic, see-through stockings, comfortable sneakers. And it was an outfit that my ex-husband with contempt had dubbed my uniform, because it wasn't tight, and it didn't make me feel my body in unwanted places, and it covered me up, which was a main priority for me at the time. So with thoughts on speed and multiple projects racing through my mind, I stood there and looked onto the busy street. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my right thigh, like something was blowing up my leg, trying to push its way through my skin and my muscle. And as the pain intensified, I ran my hand down my soft gray tunic, my uniform, and hiked it up, only to see this dark blue, blackish mass under my skin. As I watched in disbelief, it grew bigger, quicker than my mind could keep up, like a drop of deep blue ink in water. If you've ever seen that, it spread down the front of my thigh. I applied my hand to it and pushed it down. I tried to stop it, but as the pain intensified, I realized I wasn't going to be in control much longer. I felt strangely calm and clear. My whole body broke into a cold sweat, moist hands shaking, because it was just happening so quickly. I looked over to my side for help. Only to realize that the only other person in the cafe with me at the time was my 9-year-old son. As I saw him look onto his Game Boy, sitting in the sofa next to me, the last thought I remember having was, what if I die in front of him right now? And then I passed out. What led up to this event was yet another failed attempt at losing weight. Oh, so much weight to lose to be able to be happy. I weighed 286 pounds that day, or 130 kilo, for those of us who are kilo people. And I was living a miserable life, obsessed with food, eating, my weight, and my body. 2 weeks before, I had embarked on this brilliant Italian diet where a tube had been inserted through my nose into my stomach, attached to a little bag of protein liquid that I carried everywhere in a little black backpack. Every 2 minutes, the device had a pump that would go, and it would pump a couple of milliliters of protein liquid into my stomach. And for 2 weeks, that and some water was all I had. It was the pure keto diet, for amazing, extreme fat and weight loss. And as it turned out, a perfect recipe for blood clots. I had tried every single diet you can think of, as in like every single diet you can think of. I tapped, I detoxed, I tried a personal trainer, I had a therapist, I got a psychologist, I was hypnotized, I even had bariatric surgery. And the only conclusion that I kept coming back to was I was weak, I had no willpower, I was a failure, I had to try harder to find that solution and fix it. What I didn't know, there's a term for what I was. An emotional eater, a binge eater, an addict. On the outside, I got bigger and bigger, but on the inside, I got smaller and smaller. I was fighting for my right to be here, struggling to find my place in life. Only I was killing myself in the process. And though it is really tempting to make my story about the weight, because we do love those stories, don't we? It really isn't. Yes, I manifested severe obesity in my late 30s, but many emotional eaters never do manifest obesity, that is. According to the WHO, worldwide obesity has tripled since I was born in 1973. Tripled. 39% of adults are overweight. And we know a whopping 43% of all people eat to regulate their emotions. And that's just the ones who aren't too ashamed to admit it. Yet, somehow, the only recommendation listed as reasons/solutions are dieting, healthy food, and working out our bodies. We know that around 95% of all dieters regain their weight within 1 to 5 years. We are emotionally constipated, over-medicated, and eating ourselves alive. Am I the only one who sees a real problem with this? Maybe, just maybe, it's not about the food or the weight. Maybe, just maybe, it's about why we eat too much. Now, I would like to share an experience with you that has occurred many, many times in my life, believe it or not. I'm in a doctor's office, and he leans across the table and looks at me as if he's going to share a magical secret with me. And he goes, Did you know, my doctor is now suddenly an elderly British lady, but he leans across and he goes, did you know that if you eat more vegetables and meat than pasta and potatoes, you will lose a lot of weight? Really? Thank you. I've never heard that before. Said no emotional eater ever. Because we are experts. We are experts on diets. And if they worked, I wouldn't be standing in front of you right now. Now, you might think that the event I just shared with you from my cafe was me hitting rock bottom, but oh no. No. It took another blood clot, a spine bent from the massive increase of volume of my body, an ish ton of money spent in the name of weight loss, and 12 more months before I was finally done. It was only at the age of 39, with my business going into bankruptcy. I was heading into divorce number 2. I weighed exactly double of what I weigh today. That I was really done. And I was done. I felt more dead than alive. So as a last resort, I had to do something. So what do you do and where do you go when you have tried all the solutions your society has to offer you? I went into addiction treatment. That's right. With hardcore alcoholics and drug addicts. Somehow that's where I ended up. And I truly believe it saved my life. This quest of mine into healing, working with, and spreading the knowledge of emotional eating was ignited by what I started piecing together during my own treatment. But I felt like something was missing. Where was the equally effective and healing approach to the behavioral addictions, like mine, as opposed to the chemical ones? And that's when I started nerding with the creation of my own method, because it gradually became clear as day to me that medicating our emotions is not only extremely normal in our society, it's also socially acceptable. We even share it on social media, right? Look at my breakfast bowl. I just worked out. Here's my new handbag. It's rosé time. What do you think my feed is full of?
Food.
It used to be. Now it's only about a third. So I want to set one thing straight. Whether I binge eat, binge work, binge on TV shows, binge shop, or binge on sex, it is the malnutrition of my emotional needs. Binging on whatever your choice of drug is, for me it was food, is simply the malnutrition of my emotional needs. And despite the fact that I do care for both food, work, shopping, sex, there is no external solution to my internal problem. Each health community has their own take on why emotional eating starts and what causes it. Is it a hormonal imbalance? Is it genetic? Is it past life stuff? Is it learned behavior? Is it the self-medication of trauma, depression, bipolar disease, ADD? In my personal and professional experience, whatever your answer is to that, we still need to understand the emotional DNA of this behavior and learn the everyday tools to deal with and dismantle the way we use food as a tool to cope with life. So when women from all over the world walk through the doors of my office for treatment, digitally or physically, what do you think is the first question I don't ask them? Did you know that if you eat more? No, what I ask them is this. What was the problem that made food your solution? What was the problem that made food your solution? Because that's where our healing journey starts. With awareness, understanding, and a compassionate approach to this coping strategy that have gotten us this far. As children, we develop this sense of self-esteem when we get seen and heard and met as our true little selves, right? So when we are accepted and respected and recognized and loved as the unique little human being that we are, and when that doesn't happen all the time, because life is life, we discard the unaccepted aspects of our personalities as unwanted and wrong. And I wonder, what were the decisions you made about yourself back then? I'm too loud. I'm too much. I'm not important. I'm not wanted. My parents were divorced, busy but loving parents. Did they mess up? Yes, they did, as we all do. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. But whatever they did their best, and whatever they did or didn't do, it was never about me, just like it was never about you. It was about their own programming, their own story of who they are and were and had to be. And this work is not about slamming anybody. It's about releasing ourselves from the decisions we made about ourselves at the time, whenever that time was for you. It's about making new and better decisions that match who we truly are and want to be today. It's fundamental identity work, without which we can spend a lifetime adrift at sea on everybody else's current. Emotional eating is characterized by not feeling, by carrying internal shame, and by not seeking help. Because often we basically don't know what we're battling is a legitimate problem. And that's the main reason, actually, that I stand on this stage today, is to offer my voice for all those who haven't found theirs yet. Emotional eating is not about being weak, having no willpower, having a spine like a jellyfish. I want you to know that you are strong. It takes a nerve of steel to consistently do what we do to ourselves. I want you to know that we are warriors and we are fighters, and that can work for you instead of against you. I want you to know that you are love and you are light, and you earned your place on earth the day you were born. You have nothing to prove. It is already yours. So I would like to thank you and leave you with this. Whatever is going on in your body, whatever is going on in your mind, whatever is going on in your soul, feel it before you feed it. Thank you.